album concept hour. The album concept hour. It's the album concept hour. Welcome everybody to the Album Concept Hour podcast. We are here again for another week to do another album, another epic album called Talking Heads' Remain in Light from 1980. This is an album that has been actually recommended by several people on the music boards. So I'm really excited to be diving into it. I'm your host, Bradley Byrne, and we have our co-host, as usual, Dave Gallagher.
What's up?
Dave? And we have John Aker. How's it going, John?
Just chilling like a villain, my friend.
And if you are wondering why we are diving back into some new wave, it's because we have our new wave expert back from, I think this is your fourth or fifth appearance.
He's joining the Five Timers Club?
Close to getting
I think it's only third.
Silver jacket. Maybe third? I don't know.
But it feels like 3 or 4. It feels like 4 or 5.
Yeah. But we have Adam Elk here from Mommyheads. Welcome back to the podcast, Adam. We are so glad to have you to help us understand what it is we're about to break into. So
this is quite a record.
Yeah. It's I feel like I've just barely started to
Scratch the surface.
Yeah, like kind of process everything in the record because there seems to be layers to
crazy
it.
Record.
It's a short and sweet record, 8 tracks. So I know, your history with new wave in general. When did Talking Heads become part of that experience for you?
Yeah, so I mean, new wave, it was just when I was absorbing music deeply and I was young and like a sponge, really. We all have those points in our lives.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're really into music like we all are here, I would gather to say like 7 or 8 to 12 or 13. You're very susceptible to older brothers or sisters,
absolutely.
dads, moms, neighbors, anyone who has a good music taste. And you're like, what is that? And it's so alien to you because you really were just a couple of years before that, you were 4 or 5. You couldn't accept it, but then your brain starts to expand. And then a band like the Talking Heads comes around. And I was like 8 or 9 when their big hit, Psycho Killer came out. It was cute. It was like a cute song,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's fun. That's an interesting little thing.
Yeah, that's cute.
And then the cool thing about this record is this was their 4th record, and they had 3 records of being sort of like an anomaly, like a band from CBGBs that played with the Ramones and were sort of in the scene, but not. They were very artsy. They were nerdy. They kind of celebrated nerddom and
nerd rock.
And they rocked, So this record was mind blowing because it was a complete turn from where they were headed, which was just playing songs.
Yeah,
this was an opus and to me a masterpiece for them, and also just a complete departure. And no other band has touched such a departure for me than when they did this. They just went completely to a different place that is so enjoyable,
Yeah.
So that's my history with it.
Yeah. So before they were kind of you had like a cursory knowledge of them, and then this kind of helped solidify you as a fan.
Yeah, it's the same way. Paul Simon did his African record, and Peter Gabriel has touched on ethnographic rhythms.
Yeah,
when
it was,
he
definitely in the zeitgeist at the time.
But this was the first for me. Yeah. This was before all of them, and so
this was 1980.
So.
It brought the world to American white kids.
Absolutely. And I was also reminded of some Herbie Hancock with some of this, like just the complete driving kind of force behind everything. It's a great record to put on just almost any time, I think. Doing dishes, hanging out with friends, having some drinks, like this is a good song or album that like every now and again you can space out and listen in and fade out again and come back to talking to people. Really good one to listen through before maybe listening to this episode. It's a trip.
It's funny you mentioned Herbie because the Mommyheads shared a manager with Herbie in the 90s. And
really?
And I got to hang with him at a session, and I talked to him, and he was just this normal guy. And I thought, thinking back now, he would have fit right in on this record because it's so open musically that anybody's invited. It's that kind of open music.
Yeah,
it's like a drum circle mentality to pop and to it's really cool. The whole feeling of this record is just so cool for me.
Yeah, and to kind of bring it to something more like a recent group. Check your bingo cards. I'm talking about King Gizzard. Some of these jams also, you can see the influence in bands like King Gizzard in a few of their jams here and there. Because I mean, obviously they go over the place. But this is something that right after you chose this as the one to cover for this episode, someone on that King Gizzard subreddit was like, "This is one of the albums you need to listen to if you're a King Gizzard fan." And I was like, oh, interesting. So for me, it added another layer of like excitement to approach the album. And I can definitely see what they were talking about with that. Like, this is one of those just essential albums. If you are a music lover of, a variety of genres of rock, because rock could be many things. This is, and it's only like, it's almost short. Not rock, right? Like it's
not. It's King Gizzard, from what I've listened to, they're great musicians and they have a work ethic, and what they're doing is it's a one-stop shop for whatever you want. So if you want a funk record, they've got their funk record. You want a psychedelic record, they got their psychedelic. You want jazz fusion, they've got that. They seem to be doing one of everything.
Yeah. That's kind of their shtick.
And I think the Talking Heads on this record brought Afro pop and Afro funk, and European Brian Eno artsiness, and sort of Andy Warhol sort of take chances, and Jackson Pollock sort of throw the paint against the wall. They brought all that to kids like me the same way King Gizzard brings it to kids now. They're bringing the whole thing. Like, they'll bring a didgeridoo, King Gizzard, and put it in their song, so.
Oh yeah. It's refreshing to us because like it harkens back to these times. You know what I mean? That's what got me when I, is like they were harkening back to a better time in music, which couldn't be possible without people like Talking Heads.
Right. It's not about not about money. It's not about image. And is there enough collagen in your ass, or did you get liposuction, or what are you wearing? It's about music.
Yeah. It's very earthy.
Yeah.
You can hear that in the music. It's about the music.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I really like too how he's like in the album, just to like show how like different it is, you know, that he's really like, he really kind of goes in between like spoken word to like actually singing.
Yeah, he's very good at
switching between.
Yeah.
The classic Byrne.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard balance to land as a vocalist, I think. But he does a great job with it. But hey, before we get too far into this album discussion, we do have one more voicemail we have to get to, Adam. And so we're going to have you listen to this voicemail with us. So last time we had a couple of voicemails, and I said that I got up to all of the ones we had stacked up. I did not. So sorry, Nick, about missing your voicemail.
How many voicemails are we at?
Yeah, so if you want to leave a voicemail... Sorry, what was that, John?
How many voicemails are we at?
I'm at maybe 5 legitimate ones, 5 or 6 legitimate ones. So, people are starting to call in. That's 1-608 HIT nerd, HIT nerd, just so you're aware. And you can anyone call in about whatever music stuff you want to talk about.
Are those insurance commercials?
Or the insurance guys. Those are fun. So we have voicemail from Nick. This is Nick Mason. Is this what? Molson, who am I about to? Okay, yeah, Nick Molson. I don't remember exactly what this one is in response to, but we're gonna find out.
Oh, there's probably a response to something.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, it's Nick Molson, Huddle calling. Just listened to your album concept hour with Dave and John and Adam. And I just want to say it's an excellent episode. Just finished listening to it, but sorry I couldn't make it. But I do have a couple little, just fun little tidbits that I wanted to put in your ear about it. First is that so later on in Mark Mothersbaugh's life, he became a musical director and made movie scores for many films. And one director that he worked with a lot was Wes Anderson. And so later on in Wes Anderson's filmography, you get to hear in Steve Zissou in Life Aquatic, Mark Mothersbaugh inserted some Devo tracks, and you get to hear Gut Feeling and Slapper Mammy in full in an excellent running montage sequence that Wes Anderson does so well. So I always thought that was kind of fun. And then also to what you guys were saying about them trying to be, adversarial with the crowds that would come to see them play early on in their career. This is one of my favorite things ever. So if you're familiar with the movie Blues Brothers, early on, or in the movie, they go to Bob's Country Bunker. And at Bob's Country Bunker, they play behind the stage, behind some chicken wire, and it's to prevent the beer bottles from basically getting smashed into them. And so Dan Aykroyd actually was friends with Jerry and Mark after they made their debut on Saturday Night Live in the late 70s, which was another thing entirely, just mind-blowing that they were on Friday Night Live. Look it up if you get a chance. Just so much fun to watch them, play Saturday Night Live. But anyway, so Dan Aykroyd was friends with them, and he loved the idea so much that they took it, and he and John Belushi put it in the Blues Brothers because that actually happened to Devo, where they were taunting the crowd so much that they were behind chicken wire and they were throwing beer bottles at them. So anyway, I just wanted to put a couple little tidbits. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Fun episode, you guys, and excellent guest as always. He's always fun to listen to and had some really great points. So anyway, take care, and
Oh, and he actually cut off at the exact right moment. You should know, listeners, you only get 3 minutes apparently for the Google Voice. So just a heads up there. But you wanted to add some tidbits about the Devo episode. Hey. He was going to be one of the co-hosts, but he wasn't able to make it. But
two fun.
I should clarify that it's not Friday Night Live.
Yes,
it's Saturday Night Live. but they were on a show called Fridays, which was another network needed a Saturday Night Live, so they had Fridays, which Kramer was on.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's where you got to start.
And Julia Dreyfus,
Yep.
Oh, and that's how
she was on SNL too. Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Right, she was on both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, but it's also a fun fact that Devo did their debut on SNL, and also the Talking Heads did a good show on SNL as well in the 70s around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So SNL was kind of ahead of the curve on the
oh god, yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah. It
was a great show. You could have one rapper and just a bunch of lights.
Yeah.
I never went. If they were gonna have lip syncing, I wouldn't have been into it. I waited for the musical guests, and they were always live, and that was cool.
Yeah. Unless you're like Kendrick comes with a full band. There's a couple of them that come with full bands, but yeah. if you're going to Saturday Night Live, you gotta bring a band, man. You gotta fill up that stage. It's
It's the point. You're just the band Fear that John Belushi brought in that actually started a giant mosh pit and wrecked half the stage. And
of course,
we're never asked to come back.
Did that in the 80s.
Come back in.
Yeah, they weren't asked back.
Oh, yeah,
interesting.
Like, please,
I wonder why. Yeah. That sounds like some Belushi shit.
That was a fun Saturday Night Live, man.
Yeah, man. Those were the crazy times back in the beginning, we got 8 tracks though for Talking Heads Remain in Light. Now as far as the themes, I'm gonna kind of let Adam guide us on some of the themes because I don't fully get all of it, but some of it I do kind of get, Adam's shaking his head. Adam, he's
it's not... I think lyrically it's similar to what Bowie did.
Yeah.
It's piecemeal lyrically, thematically it's piecemeal. I know that they wanted to break away from songs because most bands just there's a songwriter that brings songs in, there's structure, and they were really writing this together. So it's lyrics by committee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool when it works. And Brian Eno, everybody always Brian Eno. There's a lot of productions of Brian Eno I don't like a lot of U2, but I love this record because he was into this. He was into the spontaneity of just writing lyrics that made no sense on the scene. So I can't tell you what these songs are about, aside from, Once in a Lifetime, which is obviously about finding yourself, waking up one day, and how did I get here? It's so relatable. But not all of it makes sense. It's Under the Water, Carry the Water. We don't know what a lot of this is. Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. There's a lot of questions in that song, literally. I don't know. We'll try to, we'll read some lyrics here and there, but again, this is going to be probably more about the music, a more musical episode.
The journey,
and everything involved as far as the songs, compositions, and shit. So, for a couple of these tracks, I do have for track 1 and track 3. I have like an earlier part of the song and then a later part of the song because there's a lot of build up in some of these tracks. And
it's hard to get in 15 seconds.
And exactly. You only get so much time, and I want to show some of the expanded nature of some of this. So to start off, we have a song called "Born Under Punches." The heat goes on. So I'll play an earlier section, then a little later in the bridge. And then here's later in the bridge. Yeah. You can hear there's a lot more stuff on that second clip than in the first one. Just layers. And it really, this is an album that really just starts. Like, there's not, like the first track, there's not really a build up. It just really starts strong.
It's like starts in third gear. Like, holy shit, what happened? Like,
exactly.
No, we're going.
Yeah. Which I find is also always like a kind of a ballsy choice.
Yes. And when done,
for first track.
Well, it's done amazing.
Yeah. When done well, it's like, it's very memorable.
It's like wow, is perfect.
You had me hooked from the first second. That's insane.
So much nerd rock.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? Well, I think you touched on it a little bit, but do you know kind of what was going on in their personal lives that kind of caused them to kind of seek this kind of songwriting rather than what you were saying as before, where it was kind of more, I don't know,
basic song structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was always a rift between David Byrne and the rest of the band, especially Chris, the drummer, and Tina. And because for the first 3 records, it almost seemed like a lead singer and his songs, you know, they really didn't come across as songwriters yet, even though they had Tom Tom Club, which is completely their band and was amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about
That's
earlier.
What you were trying to remember. Yeah. Tom Tom Club.
Yeah. They were great. And so they were writers, but somehow David Byrne I think he's very steady and he's very mercurial and he's very, he's not controlling. He just knows who he is. Yeah. He just
knows what he wants.
He knows what he wants. And so I also know that he was having a writer's block around this point, and they decided for whatever reason to go to Compass Point in Nassau, Bahamas, and just jam. And it's so healthy for a band to just jam and play.
Yeah.
And so it feels like they're just like crazy cool jams that got him out of writer's block. And I think Brian Eno really brought it together. You know, everybody wonders what a producer is. No one really gets what a producer is. To me,
it's a hard to describe job. Yeah.
It's like a marriage coach. It's like you're having issues with your girlfriend, your wife. You go to someone, you pay someone to listen to you. You don't take it to a friend of the wife or your friend. You take it to someone who's removed. And they tell you right immediately, this is classic 101 therapy. Let me tell you what I see. And so Eno said, here's what, you know, I'm the 5th member now. I'm not in the van with you. I'm not on tour. I'm not in a lover's quarrel. I'm just pure perspective. And he just said, let loose and just be so inspired in the moment that when we listen to it, we're inspired. It's like we get that charge that they get. You know, it's so like in the moment and cool. It's like ice bath out of the sauna. Like, ooh, you know, that's Eno was made sure that happened, and that's what I will always be appreciative of his approach on this record. So I think that was mostly the scenario, you know.
Which is why Eno is a big part of this one. And from what you were saying, like that was reminding me of the story of Radiohead and Kid A. You know, Tom York, same thing, writer's block. He was having writer's block partially because of you know, some of the pressures of being the face of Radiohead and everything. And he I believe he thought that maybe he could do things on his own, and then immediately realized that he needed the rest of the band to achieve his goals that he had. And it really was a period of, like, you know, kind of therapy for between the members then.
I think that's healthy. Like, if any band can reach that point where you have one person sort of like taking control and not letting or listening to any of the bandmates. Yeah. If you get to that point and you actually can start taking their interest or their ideas. Yeah. Now you have a full band. Now you're easier to play off each other. It's easier to have that connection instead of like, you feel like you're just like working for this guy. It's like, well, no, but I'm the band too, right?
Yeah. You don't want to feel like you're just well, I mean, unless that's what you're intending to do is be a musician for hire. But like, if you are like in the band, you want to be in the band.
You know, that's like that's what happened with Smashing Pumpkins when they did Silent. They got a new producer for it, and the new producer was like, "Listen, you guys need to like jam together, like at least once a day."
Yeah. This is dysfunctional. You guys need to, get together and actually, you know, hang out and do things together. You know, build the relationship and the chemistry.
Well, you know, bad producers focus on the lead singer, or they want to separate the. You know, they're like it's about this. They try to hone in on the personality. What great producers like Eno did is he listened to the other members and made and wanted this to be in the moment and not pre-planned. You know, it's like, this is not a premeditated murder. This is a crime of passion, this record. He wants it to be in the moment, you know. And the second thing he does this throughout his career, Brian Eno, is when he's in the room, he makes you feel like you're making real art. And that's without being pompous or like you're better than someone else. He just makes it, he somehow makes you feel important. and makes the moment feel important. And then as a listener, we feel important listening to it. So he did it with Roxy Music. He did it with U2. He did it many, many times, and he really did it on this record. It sounds like they know they're making great art.
Yeah.
You know,
he's like the previous Rick Rubin or whatever. You know, Rick Rubin's also like today is one of the greats when it comes to that. There's been stuff lately.
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, like there's been some people throwing shade his way lately, like, oh, what exactly does he do? He doesn't know how to use like the DAW systems or whatever. It's like, well, that's not exactly what he's doing necessarily. Like it's what you were saying.
God, there are thousands of kids coming out of Berkeley College that know digital system, like no Pro Tools, no Logic.
Exactly.
There's one Rick Rubin that gets the vibe and gets the band rocking, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He could just get that. He sets the vibe, you know.
Yeah. Someone just saw an easy like article to get some clicks or something. They're like, yeah, because everyone knows he's done more than enough to prove his worth, you know. Apparently, so getting to some of the vocals, there was some people that were on Genius that were kind of what's the word, pontificating about some of the lyrics and suggesting some of this might be about paranoia in the government at the moment, because this is post Watergate would be on the mind, and there's in the end there's a lot of between the heat goes on. There's drowning cannot hurt a man, fire cannot hurt a man, not the government man. So yeah, again, there's nothing really specific here, but you can read into things if you would like.
This is a great album lyrically for zoning out.
For zoning out, you said?
Like some albums,
Bob
Dylan,
definitely.
you have to like listen closely. He's a genius. But this is like
every word.
I just want to have a beer at a party and just lean against the wall and listen to this record.
It's almost a bummer to hone in on the lyrics too much, you know?
Right.
Like I almost like it's almost like wave. I just want to, because there's some repetitive parts throughout the album, which like in a really good jam is like a great thing, you know? There's a lot of stuff going on always in the background. Definitely listen for it as we're going through this one. The next track we got is called Cross-Eyed and Painless. Let's hear a little bit of that.
To explain their experience.
That just feels like a jam band.
Yeah, how do you make decisions like that vocally? Like it's just he's so quirky. Like we're not too even, once in a lifetime yet where he gets super quirky, but like he's got those weird little flares everywhere, you know.
There's a handful of singers that have like not what Byrne does, but like a very unique sound, or how they pronunciate, or how they like Frank Black Pixies like started the whole like up down, like just being quiet and then screaming and back down to quiet. I think it just, I don't know, it brings us like a whole nother instrument, not just like vocals are instrument, but it's like an extra, like there's a whole nother like level to just having that in your bag.
But I think that's the instrument thing is a key to what's happening right here, because like those are, sorry to bring up Gizzard again, the vocals are usually a little back in the mix and more part of the rest of everything, and I think a lot of times this is in this album, this is happening as well. Like it's a lot of the vocals not being focused on as in a pop sense, where the vocals are like always the most important, as much as part of the overall jam.
It's a beautiful thing when the vocals are just kind of like it's just part of the music, and it's not
it should be.
Sometimes it's just part of the overall experience.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like not any more important than any other piece of the puzzle.
I don't see him as a singer, which I love.
Yeah.
And I don't think he thinks he's a singer. You know, when you listen to Tom Jones or Sting, you know, I'm in awe. It's like, you know, it's operatic and it's on.
Yeah.
It's totally in tune. It's like a demigod is you're in the midst of someone, you know, vocal genius. On this record, especially, he's a dude just at a bar talking to you. I pushed the pecs in front of me. In hindsight, like he's just, you know, and he's very animated, but he's like Christopher Walken, you know, and it's like, he's your friend, he's your guide. He's not making a lot of sense. You just feel stuff, but you don't know what you're to think, you know. And unlike when someone's belting out a melody, you know, it's like he doesn't go there. He gives it to the background. Nona Hendrix is on here. She's doing all those great female background vocals.
Oh, so, okay.
Nona Hendrix was produced by Jerry Harrison right before this, and so they were calling their friends in, and Nona was, and they recorded in Philly, and Nona was there, and she came in, all those background vocals. And the other thing also is the rhythm section's so simple. Chris Francis plays a beat, Tina Weymouth just go da 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 da. I mean, so he can just have a dialogue with you because there's not a lot of stuff in the way of him talking to you. It's really brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's conducive to how he does things.
Rhythmically, it's like a film noir. It's sepia. It's like very simple rhythmically, so the character can just talk. It's not like a Marvel. A Marvel movie where there's fighting and you're not listening to the conversation. This is like sepia, black and white, 1941, two people talking. That's to me, you know.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. Just I really like one line here. Sharp as a knife, facts cut a hole in us. Because one thing I've noticed in this album is there's a lot of discussion about identity. You know, I think that was a big discussion in the '80s in general. You know, as some of what we got into with like Devo, there was some of that, and like what you mean in society and what does society mean. But in this one, I think there's a lot of like little lines about like examining your personal identity and trying to figure out what is actually true and what is just fabrications, you know.
Yes. And what better way to hear about it from outsiders? Like back in the day before the internet, you'd open a magazine, it'd be Brooke Shields, it would be beautiful women, you know, and you know, there are these graduates, these art graduates from RISD and Devo were from, they were from Akron, and they were outsiders. So what better way to hear about pressure to fit into society than from somebody who's on the outside looking in?
Like this is pertinent information, you know. This is if you really want to understand what's going on there, this is where you need to go.
I mean, we're not beautiful. We're not the beautiful people. So he's preaching to everybody. You know, it's like
You know, the majority of us are not the beautiful people. You know what I mean? So, it's a good message to have. Very important message.
We did not make people's most beautiful people's people or whatever.
They these people would not be on people's most beautiful.
No,
people.
not at all.
Is that the? This is a tongue twister.
There's some Seinfeld.
Talent.
Oh, okay. We have a third track for you guys, which I have actually two clips for again.
Sweet.
This one is going to be, just the Great Curve, and then the Great Curve a little bit later in the jam. I think lyrically, this one might be one of my favorites. And then here's later. Oh man, I am a sucker for those just layered, different rhythmed vocals, that working in perfect tandem with each other.
Some really good drum beats.
Oh yeah, and
with the toms or whatever those are.
Yeah, and it stays just fast the whole time. Yeah.
That song always feels like a trance. It's like trance music, like zombie music.
Yeah.
Haitian zombie music meets New York City 7980.
Yeah. It's a vibe. It's a very specific vibe for sure.
Before this record,
some of that
also
Afrobeat.
Yes, Fela Kuti was a huge influence. Fela Kuti, who's an African artist who put out 100 records, was a huge influence on this record, and he was influenced by James Brown. Yeah. And
because there was that kind of feedback thing happening a little bit with some African styles and some U.S. styles. They're kind of influencing each other a little bit back and forth. There's a guy, William Onyeabor, who's some guy a lot of hipsters know these days. But he's a similar, Afro beat Afro funk artist that didn't get a whole lot of attention over here. But yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there that you can dig into if you so choose. There's endless,
That's why I love music. Just like a blip happens in one spot, then like it starts like a whole nother like genre or like subsection somewhere else in another part of the world, and it like surf rock was huge, and then like years down the road, not years, but like then like in Bollywood, like surf rock became a big thing in Bollywood, and it's just interesting how like when you trace like one artist, like where it all goes, it's wild.
There's not always like a rhyme or reason to it.
No,
it's just like it like was in a movie or a commercial or I don't know, or like someone played a big show that was memorable, and then it's in the consciousness.
I had the same feeling when we did the K-pop stuff.
Oh yeah,
that was like listening to Backstreet Boys, but like 20 years later.
Yeah.
These guys were fans of NSYNC and Backstreet.
Yeah. Especially the more we get into like more of a global culture or whatever, like there's just more and more of that kind of happening, which is just.
But what better way
exciting.
For the world to talk to each other than with music, not politics and not news, because we don't. News is owned by corporations. You never know what's going on. But if someone's bringing Fela to America, that's communication to me.
That's what I mean. That's why I think it is one of the oldest forms of expression and just spirituality too. Like
art, food, and spirituality are like the best things we trade.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. I agreed. And this song I think really represents that kind of a mentality, because it feels very like almost ancient in a way, like human in a way, like I love the kind of Mother Nature kind of hips thing going on with the imagery. Like essentially the song is just kind of riffing off of the world being the curve of this woman's hip, and
Mother
Earth. Yeah, it's such great imagery, just about the world. It's like a love song almost about just the world,
totally.
I
it's lyrically, it's a feeling that it evokes. It's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. It's one of those. This is a track that can bring people together for sure. Can't tell you enough that you need to listen to this record start to finish. Like, you will not regret any moment.
Yeah, this is almost dangerous ground to review this record, because it means so much to at least my generation that it's let it be for the baby boomers. Like we're in, like everyone has an opinion about this record. So this is a very sort of it's holy ground.
I'm looking forward to the phone calls. 1608
exactly.
Nerd.
Please.
If you have any takes on our takes,
good, bad, everything in between, give it to us.
Yeah. Well, not everything, but yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There are limits.
Well, I guess you can't send dick pics through a phone.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Well, some phones you can, Brad.
That's true, but I don't think you can through Google Voice. No. Don't correct me and find out, please. I'd rather not know. That. I'd rather not know. But this next track, I don't even know how to introduce this track. This is. Everyone has heard this track. Everyone has probably sung their own weird rendition of this track. It's so quotable.
Sometimes you don't even know the lyrics.
You'll recognize this immediately. I hope this is Once in a Lifetime, Talking Heads.
And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful house. And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife. Letting the days go by, let the water hold me out. Letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again.
So, one thing I learned while reading about this track is that apparently, for the vocal stylings, he was kind of doing a riff on like a evangelist, like radio evangelist or preacher, which is kind of why it's like it almost feels grandiose, but it doesn't say too much specific, and I think that you can definitely see, you can almost see this as a worship tune in ways, because like the chorus could be worship lyrics, I think, and although if you didn't know that background, I don't think you'd make that assumption, because it doesn't sound like,
It's easy to make that assumption. He actually did a record with Eno before this called My Life in a Bush of Ghosts, and they traveled cross country together, and on the way through the Bible Belt, they recorded a lot of these crazy radio shows that were regional. Yeah, there were regional radio shows that made it on, I believe made it onto that record. So this is just an extension of that sort of, it's an extension of hearing these preachers in the middle of the night driving through the South.
Oh yeah, I guess that would before we had iPods and stuff. Yeah, you got the radio and maybe a tape deck. I don't even know back then, but wow, there's and if you've ever listened to them, they're pretty wild.
And you may ask yourself, how did you get this house? It was God.
Yeah, it does make you understand how these lyrics and this vocal pattern could have came,
Totally.
And again, there's so many just strange moments. Like the first part is, you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself in another part of the world. You might find yourself in behind a large automobile. Like it's insanity. This song.
I found out I wasn't hearing 25% of the lyrics just from reading them.
Oh yeah.
I was missing all this stuff. Like
there's some wild lyrics.
Yeah. It's got the chorus is
water under the water.
Yeah,
the water.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it's a little bit worshipy, but in a Mother Earth kind of sense.
The other thing also, again, I have to bring back how great Chris's drumming is and Tina's bass playing. The first sampled drum beat I think ever, literally sampled, was Saturday Night Fever, because the drummer in the session had to leave. So they took his drum sample on tape and they spooled it around mic stands, and it just went around, and it was dun dun dun. It never changed, and that became a dance track, thus spawning disco, or making disco this locked beat thing. And then they took it, but they didn't spool. They just play the most simple loopy type beat. So for me, for my money, this is one of the first human sampled records where there are humans acting like samples, which is basically what Chris and Tina are doing. And that gives David Byrne and Jerry Harrison all this room to sort of give you uppercuts while they're doing that. It's like very cool. And that's what a band is supposed to do. They're supposed to, it's like a great meal. There's supposed to be some bitter, some sour, some zestiness, They're giving you more than just one thing. It's very cool.
Yeah. They're giving you, like, this is definitely a track where you are getting a little bit of everything.
Yeah, human tape loops. That's great.
Yeah, that I always love the tape stories. You know, the variety of things that they've realized that they could do with tape. You know, and just every time changing music. You know, with one simple studio technique. You know, but It's this is a really, really wild track. One thing I enjoy about this track in general is how much of a cultural touchstone it is, and how you can kind of get whatever you want out of this song as a listener. You know,
so many different
about whatever you want. You know, or a very specific thing. You know, it's I think that's a sign of sometimes really, really good lyrics that kind of transcend like what we're doing, where we're trying to, you know, laser in and find out the exact, you know, finite meaning behind things. Because
you know, I'm an audio guy. Yeah, so I'm an audio guy, and I love this record also because there were limitations in 1980. Sure, we had 24 tracks, but you know, we had limited delays and reverbs and limited ways to sample. We didn't really have any digital technology. I think what they did was they took charcoal, like Picasso would do, and black and white, and somehow with two colors and just charcoal brought color. And I think now with digital and so many gadgets, we have too many colors in the beginning, and it ends up looking like black and white. Somehow things are reversed where with the simplicity they had, they made this colorful world, and now we're making it's too many options, and it's like, you know,
too much of a good
too
thing.
Easy to flood and ruin what you're trying to do.
Well, you know, actually, like there's a Corridor Crew just did a really good video about how, or not, maybe it wasn't Corridor Crew, it was Red Lair. But anyway, they were talking about how like a lot of some of these newer movies, they're trying to do the lighting to be like realistic, quote unquote, but it's like totally taking out like the dimension of the, you know, images. Like you don't get like, you know, the 3/4, you know, shine on a face so you can see someone's silhouette, and everything just ends up looking flat and dark, which is what some newer movies have been starting to look like without, you know, having that kind of gung-ho nature of filmmaking, you know, where everything might be going wrong. You have to kind of fix it on the fly. Yeah. That's where the great stuff happens, you know?
No, that's a good point. Like CGI in the 90s ruined a decade of movies for me. Like I can't watch those films. I can't watch those Star Wars films. I can't watch the Star Trek films. I could always watch anything from the 70s and 80s.
For CGI.
It was so early, and they were stretching things, and it still looked flat. And if you go back to when it was like good cameras, and if they wanted to look up, they dug a hole, you know, like they actually had to work a little, you know.
Yeah.
And my favorite is like actual sets, like the set of the Death Star was real, and you could see things attached, but it was a real thing moving. That's what this sounds like to me. This has dimension because it was simple, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like same movie, New Hope, and you have like the cantina, like everyone's wearing like a costume or wearing masks, so it feels real when you look across. Everything matches. It looks like you walked into
exactly
bar.
Like they're wearing real stuff.
We can stretch it to I think episode 2 where like what was it? Obi-Wan goes to some like diner, greasy diner,
because he's trying to get the Camino
pretty much around him is just completely digital.
I just watched this.
And he's like
Dexter Jester. Dexter Jester's the
Dexter,
name.
yes.
Dexter Jester is the guy.
Dexter's little diner. You want to buy a Java Juice?
Mustache.
Like the same thing. You start getting so far removed, like nothing feels real. It feels completely fake. Like you just like overwash it. You push that level so far, you lose everything you're trying to do.
You lose the grit. You know,
it's like
a little
there's
bit
no
of the
feeling left. It feels dead.
It's like episode 3. There's like 10 real actors in 90% of the film. No, everything
else. Yeah. It got dark. It got dark there in the yachts.
Well, my fear is we're going to disregard decades of music because of autotune. Because we're going to start getting migraines from like that sound that autotune does, and it's actually going to cause migraines. Like, it's sad when one technology is too prevalent, especially in audio, that we all love.
Well, I was going to say there are a lot of kind of lower fi bands that are doing away with that entirely and just kind of leaving in some of that grit. So. I always appreciate when you can hear the jamming, like in this. You can hear they are jamming together. They are appreciating each other's presence, which it transcends. It transcends the music itself. And with that, actually, why don't we take our quick break? We're halfway through the album, and then when we get back, we have the track "Houses in Motion." So don't go away. We'll be right back with Adam Elk. The Album Concept Hour. Welcome back, everybody, to the Album Concept Hour. We are on the second half of the Talking Heads' Remain in Light album from 1980. And, I thought, Dave can attest, I thought it was the Talking Heads before I was doing the podcast. And I asked Dave, I was like, is it the Talking Heads or Talking Heads?
No, it's just Talking Heads.
Talking Heads.
It's just, I never knew that either. Actually.
Yeah. There's some bands I just throw a the on there because it can work,
The Devo, the Metallica.
Well, I mean, you're always going to say the Talking Heads.
Yeah. It is. It usually there is this is pedantic.
Like vocabulary sounds like you're trying to listen to the Talking Heads because you're talking about the band.
Yeah, and it's plural.
Yeah,
maybe it's the plural aspect of it makes you want to say.
It sounds like natural English to say the Talking.
But anyway, it is just Talking Heads, and we have another track for you guys. And Adam Elk is here, of course, from Mommyheads, and this is Houses in Motion. Oh yeah.
So that sound
getting weird.
That's I believe that's Adrian Belew, who needs to be credited because the Beatles brought in Billy Preston to sort of ease the tensions. The Talking Heads brought in Adrian Belew, who for my money is one of the top musicians of all time, at least for my tastes.
Okay.
And
what are they known for, if I may ask, Adam?
Yeah, so Adrian Belew was a guitarist. He was out of Champaign, Illinois, Midwestern guy.
Wow, tight.
And he was found in a bar by Frank Zappa, who brought him on the road, and then Frank Zappa loaned him out to David Bowie, and then David Bowie loaned him out to the Talking Heads, and he played with everybody.
Wow.
He was the most in-demand session guitarist for 10 years.
Okay. And is he just doing vocals in this?
He's doing guitar. It's like a synth guitar, a Roland GR 700, or I think it's 700, which is a synth. I have one.
Oh, wow.
It has a pedal on the bottom. So the guitar attaches to that thing.
Oh, okay.
And it has four pedals, so you could get a synth out of your guitar. And so it was like the first technology like that. And basically, Adrian just brings this sort of daredevil, Evel Knievel,
devil may care,
super talented glue that just binds the record. It's and he's all over it, and it's so good. And he was in King Crimson in the 80s.
Oh, I love King Crimson.
Yeah, so he was 80s King. Elephant Talk was really his baby.
What? Okay. Yeah, now I'm understanding.
That's Brad's attention.
Yeah, you have my attention. Yes.
I'm a huge King Crimson fan. Huge.
Love
bringing him in was a master stroke. It was such a great idea to bring that extra personality in. Also, he's all smiles. He's so talented and so confident. that he gets to be happy. He's just a happy guy, you know.
Oh,
so,
nice. Yeah. So he's also a pleasure to like be around when you're
total
jamming.
pleasure. So he's all over this record.
That's awesome. One thing I wanted to mention about some of the vocals styles of David Byrne is now that we've heard a little bit of Lou Reed on the podcast, I now have a little more of an understanding of that background, and I do hear a little Lou Reedy stuff here and there with David Byrne. You know, I
very
guess,
speaky.
Yeah, a lot of speaky stuff. Yeah, which you know, again, I think Dave pointed out they're, you know, New York area, so they're gonna have some
I'm sure
love
at some point,
for that.
like either before even talking to her playing, I guarantee Byrne probably saw like Velvet, or probably saw like just Lou,
or at least new stories or heard of, you know, like
the album, so
they were there.
Influence, because you can definitely, I would say, pick that out.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that. I'm starting. I can see the kind of line between, because like Talking Heads is always one of those groups where like it just seems like it pops out of nowhere for me in the music history. But yeah, now I'm starting to see the kind of connective tissue with like Herbie Hancock, Lou Reed. You know, your King Crimson. I didn't think of that connection, but yeah. And
always looking for the King Crimson connection.
The King Crimson connections are everywhere. It's like the Gizverse. But yeah, really, really solid track though. Just a fun jam, cool vocals. And then we have the sixth track here, which is Seen and Not Heard.
He imagined that this was an ability he shared with most other people. They had also molded their faces according to some ideal. Maybe they imagined a new face would better suit their personality. Or maybe they imagined that their personality would be forced to change.
Talk about spoken word.
Yeah.
Mr. Robot himself.
Yeah. This one's almost just straight up like beat poetry, you know.
Story mode.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Laurie Anderson?
No, who's Laurie Anderson?
So Laurie Anderson was very big in the New York scene in like 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. She was kind of an impressionist musician. So she would create her own worlds. And it was very spoken word. She would kind of whisper, not sing. And to me, it was, and it was also tapped into the classical community. There were classical elements. It tapped into the Andy Warhol artsy community, the European David Bowie. She was tethered to all of it. And she was an originator of the spoken word thing. And this track reminds me of Laurie Anderson, who was very popular at the time. And again, it was a rebellion against rock radio, where everything was like, love hurts, you know, everything was over the top. Everything felt like it was music at a bar mitzvah.
Bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the pop machine was in full motion at that point, I think. Like the Pop Monster or whatever was consuming all of the radio stations around.
There's so much stuff coming out, and the Pop Monster just is like, yummy.
Yeah. Like by the time we're growing up, like radio is I mean, in my opinion, trash. Like I really didn't love the radio in the aughts and the, you know. Now they're trying to compete. Now they're trying to keep up with some of the, you know, variety that is on the internet, but this track is one of
that last track. If that comes on the radio, which it won't, it feels like a complete rebellion against everything that came before.
Yeah.
Because it's very moody and spoken word, and sounds dangerous somehow. You know, it's not comforting. It's not a lullaby. It's not a basic rhyme. It doesn't rhyme.
Yeah, it's not like appealing to the ears by the standards of masses. Like of music theory necessarily, you know, which is, you know, that some of the best stuff is like that. And what I enjoy about this track is it has kind of a cool message again. This one's kind of like track 2. It's got some identity stuff going on where he's got this like face that he's able to like, I guess, change and mold at will, but like he finds that other people are not able to do this, and that gives him like some kind of like internal struggle, and yeah, it's kind of just a clever way to discuss just like identity and feeling insecure in your identity, and I think he's talking about how these people like don't know who they are or something, and he knows who he is, and he's like curious, like why does all these people not know who they are,
but it's relatable because not everybody's Michael Bolton or Celine Dion. Again, most of us don't know who we are, and we're just kind of getting up in the morning and going to a job and at the end of the it's like he's kind of tapping into a nerve that everyone feels.
Yeah, definitely. Like you can put yourself in the shoes of this the main character in the song, and I like this line here.
Story of my life.
Hold on, let me see if I can find the lyric. He imagined this was an ability he shared with most other people. They had also molded their faces according to some ideal. Maybe they imagined that their new face would better suit their personality, or maybe they imagined that their personality would be forced to change to fit the new appearance. This is why first impressions are often correct. And I love how matter-of-factly he's stating all this stuff too.
It's a professor.
This is almost like a Shel Silverstein poem. Like if you just read it, it kind of has that kind of whimsy.
He's just a poet.
Yeah,
he's just a poet.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be really interesting to see exactly what their process was with because you said that it was a community lyric for the lyrics. Like they decided on the lyrics together. Is that what you said?
Yes, it was. Generally, he had writer's block, so he was open to Brian Eno's by committee lyrical approach. Now, I still hear a lot of David Byrne in this, but I think that the approval they were approving of him. It wasn't just another record that felt too David Byrne-ish. This feels somewhat like the Talking Heads lyric. Like if the Talking Heads made lyrics, this is what it would be, which is cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Psycho Killer lyrically is similar in some ways to some of this. But
right, like one of the other members said, "Do it in French, qu'est-ce que c'est?" Like it feels like a band.
Yeah, it adds something to it, But so this next track we have for you guys, track 7. Is a really I actually wrote reminded me of King Crimson on this one. So this one is Listening Wind.
Very spooky.
Yeah. It's got a little edge to it. Yeah.
I think if I was hanging out party and this album was playing, this would be the track I would just be completely enjoying to zone out to. Just a beer in the corner and just vibing.
Just sit in your chair, lean back
for a good solid 3-4 minutes.
Yeah. Just everybody stop talking to me for a second. I need to listen to this entire song.
Take this in.
Yeah. It is a real just another vibe kind of song, I again was reminded of King Crimson just because the title is Listening Wind, and they have a song called I Talk to the Wind from their first album. So
that's right.
I thought that maybe it could be a call response thing if they're King Crimson fans.
Just talking and listening.
Huh?
Talking and listening.
Yeah, all these songs are they're it's a conversation throughout the years between these musicians
through the wind.
and Through the Wind. Yeah, it was just hanging there for a couple decades, waiting
around
for the Talking Heads to pick it up.
I love how this album is considered post-punk, which I never understood, but now I kind of do, because it's like the Ramones made their records, Sex Pistols made their records. Yeah. It was all aggression and sort of anger and fighting against something. And then you're like, then what? Then what do we do? You know, it's like that whole party's over. So it's post-punk. It's kind of like still rebellious, still on the outside.
Yeah.
But yet sort of
starting
like figuring
to get ingratiated within the system.
Yeah, what to do next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do we make a living? How do we make friends? Like we did the punk thing.
Yeah, how do we have a healthy emotional like relationship
how do we live?
With people? Yeah. Because you can't just be a punk your whole life a lot of times. I mean, you can. I'm not telling you you can't be but it's hard.
A very, very, energy. Very tiny percentage have done that.
Yeah. If you're from Madison, you could probably pull it off for a long time.
Or
but like if you're out
band.
in the country, like it's hard being a punk.
It's impossible. Iggy Pop has done it. No one else.
Most people got to grow up sometime.
Yeah,
you got to grow up. So that's post-punk. This feels like a post-punk record.
Yeah, and that's kind of reminded me like there's post-hardcore is a genre that I really like. And that took place like after a lot of the emo screamo stuff was super popular, and like people were like, "Oh, I don't want to be this aggressive. I want to have chiller vocals, chiller guitars, and stuff." And because it just like we do need that energy every now and again to like kick music in the teeth, but like. It gets old after a while. We need to go up and down.
Anything gets old after a while, so you always have to move and grow and change,
definitely
and adapt. And not adapt, but like you're just constantly moving and like.
Yeah, it's not like it's worse or better, but it's a
nice
different
to have
time.
diversity. You want to have different. You want to have. Sometimes you're pissed. You're right. You
Yeah.
want something angry. You want Henry Rollins
Yeah.
screaming at your ear.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to relax. Sometimes you just want to mellow. Like I can't remember the name of the album, but like the Brian Eno, like the music to like was it Songs for the Airport or just these weird like
so 77.
Just these just I don't know, instrumental type stuff.
Yeah.
You want everything. You want
Yeah. Yeah. This is the first time you've mentioned that one. I need to hear that one.
Great record.
Like an important record. Yeah. Is it instrumental all the way?
It's I believe so. Like the first 3 or 4 like music's like was it the hell is it? You might know this, Sam, but I think it's like music. What is it? It's like music for the airport.
It is. It's called Music for the Airport. I was looking this stuff up earlier today.
I got it.
This is the last album.
It's a great album.
Yeah. And him and David Byrne did that together.
Oh, okay.
They actually did that together. Like this was the last album they did with Eno.
Oh, is it?
It's a series. Yeah,
that's correct.
But they're all fantastic.
Wow. Why would you stop here?
And Robert Fripp from King Crimson worked with Eno, and they collaborated a lot. And it's gorgeous music.
Yeah.
Very, very instrumental.
Albums. Yeah. A real talented group of people working at this stuff. I don't know. This track, I can't say too much about the lyrics. I don't really, it's not really about that so much. Just a good song to kind of lose yourself in. And then the next track we have for you is the last track on this album, and it is called The Overload. Here's that.
Terrible signal.
when the axe murderer sneaks up.
Right? Yeah, I like how chill the last couple of tracks are with this album. Like it really like because it's front loaded with such energetic stuff.
It's like closing time. You're just like relax and we're done.
Yeah. It's a good way to like kind of fade out of the album, with 2 of these like psychedelic weird soundscapes,
I kind of see this record. It's a strange flow for a lot of people because it starts out with a bang and they think it ends with a whimper. But to me, it's the seasons. It's 4 seasons. It's like Vivaldi. It comes in really strong and almost goes to summer. And then between summer and fall, you get like, you may find yourself, and then it starts to get fall-like and starts to, and then it goes into winter. And at this point, it's like The Shining. Like there's just snow everywhere and you're just like under a blanket and you just go to sleep.
This
and it feels like that whole cycle.
Song.
It sounds natural to me.
Yeah. I say like geek Manchester. Rock. Sorry. I say geek rock, but it literally is like these guys are the school of music.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's a piece of art in that sense.
Definitely.
That was the connection because I said like it feels like Manchester, but basically when I walked in because I was late, but I already listened to this album a few times earlier today. But I'm like last track, that's the Joy Division sounding track.
Yeah.
And I walked in the door, I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. Like it sounds like Ian Curtis. It sounds like closer. The second album, just like that droning, like there's
there's a droning
like
throughout
every fuzziness that's happening in the background, like this weird like a heaviness in the air as you're listening to it.
Yeah, and so that was actually intentional for them. It's this Genius annotation says the Overload is a Talking Heads attempt at create a song in the signature style of Joy Division. The catch: none of the band had ever actually heard Joy Division. The song was written based entirely on descriptions in the music press, a bleak, atmospheric dirge with detached vocal performance. It's pretty amazing.
What a winter description.
Well, it's pretty amazing to me that just by descriptions of Joy Division, they were able to like actually like replicate the sound.
It's like it's like almost about 40 years ago, like the old version of like the current, was it the Chat GP now or whatever, is like, I write a song with like this and this, and like, I feel like that's what they did. Like they had no idea what they're doing. Like just the description, like, we can try that.
Yeah.
And they literally nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds so close to a Joy Division song.
Yeah.
You could sneak that in if you had no idea about the band. You just give them like a friend, like, here's 8 tracks, Joy Division.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It would not stand out. It'd feel like a track of one of their songs.
Definitely.
It's so eerily.
Yeah. And that's just amazing. Yeah. Again, amazing just ability as a musician to be able to pull something like that off.
Not here, but just description.
Yeah. Just descriptions. Let us know, by the way, if you guys have a actual like a reference to where this story comes from. This is just a Genius annotation without the actual reference. I'd love to read a fuller story about that because it sounds amazing. Lyrically, again, it's pretty much just Joy Division. I'm not, we don't need to dive in.
Just looking through the lyrics, it sounds like you're reading the lyrics of a Joy Division track. Yeah. Like it's so Ian Curtis.
Ian Curtis, by the way, we haven't got to it yet in this podcast, is a tragic fucking story.
Yeah.
If you look into it, I know that old heads already know this. This is an old story, but I was on a podcast to talk about some, difficult musician deaths and stuff, and this is one of the most tragic of that. So, Joy Division. We'll have a Joy Division episode at some point, I'm sure.
You can split it. Joy Division, New Order, do something.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because
Manchester,
they kept making some great stuff after that. But, So anyway, great attempt at doing Joy Division and completely landing it. I think the seasons thing you were saying is really good. Because if you go right back into track 1. And you go, right back into spring, the
thing that people forget about, which the Mommyheads are very cognizant of, is when your last track ends, it starts back at the beginning, right? And so how does that last track to the first track sound? No one ever thinks about that. But that's very, very important now with Spotify, even with CDs. Like it starts over again. It didn't with records.
Yeah.
So I think what they've achieved is they completed the winter, and then you just start back at spring.
Yeah.
And a lot of records feel like they need an opus at the end. They gotta complete the story go out with a bang.
Oh,
and that doesn't feel right. That would never have felt right on this record, I don't think.
No. Yeah. It would have felt kind of phony. I
think
phony. It would have felt like they were trying too hard.
It's a phony.
Whereas this all seems so effortless. Although it sounds so good, it feels effortless because they all sound like they're having a good time. So really glad you brought this record to us, Adam. This is
I'm surprised you haven't done it.
Why not, Brad?
It just recently got on my radar. Me.
Brad.
Oh, damn it!
I'm gonna call into the number.
Worst producer
about
ever.
That. But we'll have to have you back again for the next, whatever the next journey is in the new wave.
We'll figure something out.
You're teaching us, album by album, how this whole thing happened. So. Really love having you on. We'll do our last little thing here where we go around the horn and find out what everyone's been listening to and what they have to plug. We'll do us, and then we'll end with Adam. I have been still listening to a lot of Wet Leg, and I've also been listening to not Nosferatu. I can't remember the name of this rap group. But there's this rapper that has a whole concept universe of rap albums that are the same characters.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
We're definitely going to be covering some of this stuff.
I was gonna say
moving forward. Do that. But I'm starting to get into the expanded universe of this artist. I can't remember the name of. And as for plugs. YouTube.com/Flyover State Park. We got a lot of cool, fun little videos coming out. If you want to see us eating a lot of hot wings and being in pain, that's where you got to go. What about you, Dave? What have you been listening to, and what do you got to plug?
The last couple weeks have been very busy. I can't remember if I mentioned this a few weeks back, but the Kaiju had a new album that came out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It is called Phase 3. It's the third album.
It's called Phase 3.
Second album was Phase 2, but Phase 3 was the third album.
Okay.
And if you like some crazy, it's no lyrics, just great instrumental surf rock, check them out. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
The second band, Screaming Females, their new album just came out recently as well, so I've been listening to. It's called Desire Pathway.
Oh yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, probably not even joking, literally there's been a good 20 plus spins. I can't put it down. It's been listened to just a lot.
Okay.
I love Marissa's, her vocals and her guitar work is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And the last plug is a band, an older punk band from Britain that I didn't say I would fell in love with because I've always loved them, but something happened. I got into a couple songs. I spiraled out of control and went through their discography multiple times. Is Leatherface. Leatherface.
Okay.
Literally, legitimately named after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Leatherface.
Yeah. Good old Leatherface.
But just the vocals are somewhere between maybe Louis Armstrong and Tom Waits.
That's cool.
Frankie Stubbs has a really unique voice.
Sultry.
But for some reason, the first time I heard it, I instantly fell in love.
Okay.
Some people have heard it's you have to get past it, but I'm it's
perfect. I usually like that.
I just love that.
I usually enjoy that in a pop punk situation or whatever that is.
Everything about them I feel like if you want to get someone into punk rock, I know punk rock, it's they're angry, angsty, they're there's something different about Leatherface, their guitar work. There's something different that just it stands out. It's no, there's a lot depth to this band, and every fucking album is amazing. So check them out.
Yeah.
Highly suggested.
Leatherface.
That's mine.
Yeah. What about you, John? What have you been listening to? What do you got to plug?
Oh, not much. I've been working a lot lately, so just listening to my usual, motley of everything. A lot of 2000s punk.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little 90s country mixed in there, some 70s rock, a little Reverend Al Green,
Oh yeah.
Spice it up,
Spice up the life.
Otherwise, I've been watching a lot of Hot Ones because it's on
cool,
Hulu.
Yeah. Nice.
It's on Hulu. There's some good ones.
Yeah.
The one with Gordon Ramsay's really good.
Yeah.
I was telling you guys about that earlier.
Yeah. Trying to look for some tips for the wing challenge.
Yeah. And it's good. It's good watching these people because it's like, and I'm really glad that I didn't really invest in the show before we did the challenges because I wouldn't have believed some of these people. But now I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, that's legit.
No, that person is
actually
in pain.
Happens. That hurts. I did that sauce. That hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, Netflix, Power Rangers thing's coming out soon, and we are having on Ron Wasserman again.
Wasserman is coming back.
Who did the music for the original show and the 30th anniversary special on Netflix.
Yeah. So look forward to the return of the Power Rangers writer who could have possibly been in Guns N' Roses in a different universe. Yeah, so excited to have Ron back.
And to talk about another album this time, not Power Rangers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some Elton John with him. So, look forward to that episode in a month or two. Something like that.
Maybe.
Something like that. What about you, Adam? What have you been listening to lately? And what do you got to plug? You got something in the works right now? What are you doing?
Yeah, we got another new record coming out in September. So
I thought you might.
We do one a year.
Pretty good about that. Yeah.
This one is called Coney Island Kid because I'm from Coney Island, so it's kind of a look back at the positives and negatives of growing up in Brooklyn.
Cool.
Yeah, it's got a cool cover, and
yeah,
I'll send it to you when we're done. And we just like to stay busy.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, and in terms of listening, Juana Molina, I think I might have mentioned her last time. She's Brazilian. She's really cool.
Okay.
Very, very cool stuff. Juana Molina, JUANA MOLINA.
Okay.
And I found out about a band called Horse Lords.
Lords.
Yeah. Horse Lords.
That's a great band name.
That's a wonderful band name.
Yeah.
Horse Lords. So they are from DC.
Okay.
Do me a favor, listen to them. Don't watch any live footage on YouTube because they look like four professors. They just look like there's no emotion, but what they play is it's all counterpoint cool, kind of King Crimson, Robert Reich, like very weird, cool stuff. Just interwoven, very heavy musician stuff. So I kind of geek out.
Yeah.
No singing, just guys jamming. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
oh man, that sounds right up my alley. I've been definitely like more and more like leaning into jam territory in my life. I'm like,
you start to hallucinate.
Give me the long jams. I want this to be a 20-minute jam or at least,
But jam bands. And
this band is the closest to not needing drugs. No drugs needed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the magic of jam bands. You don't need the drugs to get into that mindset.
You need the drugs to understand fish.
Maybe. I don't know fish as well. But nice. So look forward to some more Mommyheads coming out at some point here. And looking forward to having you back again in the
always
future.
Always love it. You guys are awesome.
King Crimson's the next one.
You're a great guest.
We do have the 80s King Crimson records, which I am dying to talk about. So I think we know which one we're going to be going to.
Discipline.
You're on. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
So that's a little teaser for next time Adam's on. Because it's been a little while since we've done King Crimson, and they're one of those bands I consider a concept band, and so we're going to cover a lot of them. Yeah, get over it, haters.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. Thank you again, Adam, for coming on the podcast again. Thanks everyone for listening again to the Album Concept Hour. We always appreciate it. We'll see you guys again in a couple of weeks for another album.
Sweet.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye. The Album Concept Hour is Brad LeBaron, Dave Gallagher, and John Aker. Special thanks to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for the theme music. Join the discussion on our Discord, tweet to us at Album Concept Pod, or for everything else, go to Linktree/Flyover State Park. See you on Side B. This is Flyover State Park. You are clear to land.